Huh? We were saying yesterday that if a person does not want to change, you cannot change him. Even if you tell him 1,000 times musar. He's not going to change unless he doesn't want to. Why? Because whatever you tell him, he'll forget. Maybe he'll be inspired for one moment. And then what happens after that one moment? He goes back to how he is. Right? As it says, Kim'at oivehem achniya. The Pasuk says in Tehillim, if only my people would listen to me, Kim'at, a little bit more, I would have subdued their enemies. What does that mean? עניינו כרגע אויבי מכניעה ויקרא לב הנכון מתוקן, כמו שנאמר ושומע תוכחת קונה לב. Which means, in a moment, Hashem would have destroyed their enemies, and the term heart, lev rashaim, it's referring to what? It's referring to the heart that is upright and wholesome. As it says, one who listens to rebuke, he has a heart. Shomea tochachat, konei lev. What does it mean he acquired a heart? It means he has a good heart if you listen to people who rebuke you. If you don't know how to listen to people who rebuke you, it's considered as if you have no heart. You have no feelings, you have no understanding of wisdom to change yourself for the better. And he says, therefore a person whenever he hears rebuke, what? Then you have to always take it to heart and to think about them. A lot of people, what do? They take it to heart. What do they do when they take it to heart? They get offended. They say, no, how can you say such a thing? Rabbi, don't talk about such difficult things and about punishment and about this is wrong, that is wrong. Tell us nice things. Tell us about Olam Haba, and tell us about the reward of someone who does something like that. Don't tell us the punishment. So they're right. It's true. You should speak about the rewards also, but you have to speak about the punishment sometimes also. You can't only speak about the Judaism is not only cotton candy and pink clouds. It's not a walk in the park all the time. And sometimes you gotta get serious. You tell the guy, listen, we owe a lot of money. We gotta start paying the bills. God forbid you're on the way to get diabetes. You have to start going on a diet. You can't dress it up in pink always. Sometimes you gotta be raw. You gotta tell him as it is, in order for him to stop going where he's going. But once you tell him one time, then okay, you give him chizuk. But sometimes you have to lay down the law. You want to say something? No? Somebody wants to say something? No? And he should add his own ideas to the rebuke that he got. He should reflect on these matters in solitude. That's a big problem also. He says that people, when they hear rebuke, they're supposed to sit and think how it applies to their life. A lot of times we don't sit and think how it applies to our life. We're just going through life. We're just bouncing off of whatever happens, reacting to everything that happens in our life. We don't sit and plan and think how we're going to get to a certain place we need to be. I'm just here. I'm just going through life. I'm just, when you do itboredut, he says, itboded, when you sit in solitude and think and contemplate, how am I going to better myself? How do I fix my schedule to be better? How do I optimize my service of Hashem? And then you think with yourself where your struggles are. You think what you're good at. You think what you're bad at. And you plan accordingly, so you're going to be that much better, that much farther ahead, as opposed to a person who just wakes up and goes with the flow and doesn't really think about what he's doing, and therefore it's much harder for him to realize where this rebuke applies. He should direct the rebuke to himself, right? A lot of people, you teach them the rebuke. What do they say? Say, yeah, Rabbi, I know a lot of people like that. Rabbi, I know who you're talking about. You're talking about him, but he thinks you're talking about somebody else. He thinks, yeah, Rabbi, you tell him, Rabbi, you tell him. I know who you're talking about. Rabbi, yeah. And he goes and he asks a question like this in the class. Rabbi, what does the Torah say about a guy who comes every day to shul? Huh? He goes and he's looking to his friend. What does the Torah say? Tell him, Rabbi. Tell him what it means, what it says in the Torah. So he looks for rebuke, but he doesn't look for rebuke for himself. He looks for rebuke for the other guy. So over there says Rabbi Zino, that's also wrong. You have to look for rebuke for yourself. You shouldn't rely on the rebuke of the one giving it. Rather, you should learn to really rebuke yourself. Real tzaddikim, they rebuke themselves all the time. They let's say they messed up. They say, what is this? They talk it to themselves. What is this? You're a ben Torah, you're a religious guy. You do these kind of things. If people would see you doing this right now in public, what would they say? Come on, Hashem doesn't like these kind of things. You're going to make the shuvah. You gotta take yourself seriously. What's going on with you? They don't need somebody else to tell them. They tell themselves this all the time. And therefore, he says that's what it means when a person has a real heart. That was what Hillel said, if I'm not for myself, who is for me? Means, if you don't rebuke yourself and not looking to rebuke yourself, so then no one can help you. Kshani latzmi mani, Hillel continues, and then if I am for myself, what am I? What does that mean? גם כשאני לי להשתדל לתקן נפשי בכל כוחי, ואני הוגה בחוכמת בוחלת, מה אני? כי הסקת האדם קצר לדלה, אם תורך ותיקון, השיג מעט מהמעלות. He says, once a person says, yes, I want to rebuke myself, I want to improve myself, and I am improving, I am putting efforts on improving myself, I am doing, you still should be humble and say, what? Who am I already? What did I really accomplish? Did I really work on myself like other people work on themselves? Did I get to the level of the person who really is a person who's about teshuvah? He says, certainly I must recognize I am little of worth, and how little worth my life has if I am not responsible for myself. That is, if I don't endeavor to expend effort to improve my character. Meaning to say that if even with great effort I accomplish a little bit, without any effort I would accomplish nothing at all. So therefore, a person, God forbid, he could start becoming religious, he could start working on himself, he could start getting things to his head. He might thinking, oh, look at me, I'm religious now, look at all these other people, they're not, I'm so much better than them, I know so much more than them, and it can get to your head. So therefore, Hillel Zakin says, no, Kshani that's me, even though you are working on yourself, mani. You have to always remember, what am I already? If they would work on themselves, they would also grow. What did I accomplish? Look at those people, they work themselves, look how much higher they are than me. Who says I have to be, that's why the Gaon Vilna says you always have to look at the people higher than you spiritually, right? You should look at those people greater than you, get jealous of them, and work on yourself more. But always you have to put yourself in perspective. You can never think you're better than somebody. When you think you're better than somebody, he says actually a lot of times all the growth you did, it's arrogance. It's not really growth. It's not really healthy connection to Hashem. It says as a mashal, he says there was a guy who had a field and it was very low quality soil. And what happens? Even if he puts so much effort into improvement, it only gives a small amount of fruit because the soil is not such quality. But if he doesn't work on it to improve it, for sure nothing will grow. And that's how we have to realize ourselves. Yes, I worked on myself, but I'm still inferior. The little that I came out with, it's small fruit. Imagine if I wouldn't work on myself, I would have nothing fruit, no fruit at all. And those people, look how they work on themselves, they get so much fruit. I have to get to there, I have to look there. I can't give myself honor and say, oh, at least I keep Shabbat, at least I keep kasher. Okay, I learn a little bit here, a little bit there, that's good enough. No, that's not, don't think content. You always have to be hungry and always have to be humble. As it says, that the sages tell us in Avodah Menatan, it says, the Melech Shnatan Sadeh LeAvdav, his king gave a field to his servants, Iziram LeAvdah. He told them to work it and produce 30 kor of produce. They worked it very hard, and in the end they only brought 5 kor, not 30 kor. They told them, what is this? Why did you bring the amount I asked you for? They said, our master, our king, the field you gave us is very, very inferior quality. We did all we could do, and this is what still came out. So therefore, we always have to put a best effort and realize that even after all effort, what am I already? Okay, and the last one is, Im lo achshav imatai. And if not now, so when? A person shouldn't delay even one day, right? As he says that if you have time today, who says you have tomorrow? And if you don't have time today, maybe you also say the same thing tomorrow, right? Don't say the what says. Don't say when I'm free I'll study, because maybe you'll never become free. What do the doctors say is the number one excuse people go for diets when they don't start the diet? He says, after Chagim. Now it's Chagim, now it's Chagim. So after, the wife tells the husband, we need to fix the AC, we need to fix the backyard, he's like, yeah, patom. After, now it's Chagim, it's busy time after Chagim. After Chagim, what happens? Oh, now the kids did school, and then, now it's Chanukah, patom after Chanukah. And then always going to be excuse. They're always going to, I don't feel well, now it's this, now it's that. So therefore he says, if you don't know how to push off excuses now, who says you're going to push off the excuses later? There's always going to be excuse. The question is, are you going to be able to overcome and say, if not now, so when? Baruch